Hi folks, I'm Steve Hindy for Showing Animals Respect and Kindness. The video clips you're about to see are part of a Canadian court case. The clips have blurred faces and signage. This blurring has been added at the insistence of the rodeo company that is also part of this case. We find the blurring to be ridiculous, but the rodeo people are doing everything possible to keep people from seeing the rodeo for what it is, indefensible, and as the lawsuit contends, now illegal cruelty. Two shark investigators, including me, pooled our efforts with Canadian veterinarian Jean-Jacques Kona-Boun to document two rodeos in Canada, the Nomad Fest Rodeo in Montreal and the St. Tite Rodeo in St. Tite, both in the province of Quebec. The operation was made possible by a Superior Court certified settlement agreement after Alain Roy, a professor of child and animal law at the University of Montreal, together with his law students, filed for an injunction against the Montreal Rodeo. The documentation project was a massive undertaking involving 20 rodeo performances. The documentation team's 3 cameras collected a total of 135 hours of video recordings. There were numerous days with 2 performances per day, and a couple days with 3 performances. One rodeo performance began at midnight. These rodeos are produced by the Western Festival of St. Tite, which has on multiple occasions won the International Rodeo Cowboy Association's Best Outdoor Rodeo in North America award. It is important to mention that both of these rodeos were considered to be a light version of rodeo, with strictly enforced humane rules, which is uncommon in the rodeo world generally. But with the knowledge that 2 shark investigators and a highly experienced veterinarian were watching and filming everything, the rodeo producer made certain everyone was on their best behavior. Regardless of their efforts to clean up their act, the basic violence and cruelty inherent in all rodeos were present at these events, and our cameras captured an enormous amount of abuse. The foundation for this effort is a 2015 change in Quebec's humane laws. In response to mounting public pressure to remedy Quebec's poor record on animal welfare, which was the worst in Canada, the status of animals in Quebec's civil code was changed in 2015 from movable assets to sentient beings with biological imperatives. In other words, it is no longer legal to subject animals to treatment that could harm their health or cause them distress. Our operation puts the new law to the test for the first time. Dr. Kona-Boun subsequently analyzed the video database in a 610-page report with many images that finds ubiquitous evidence of inflicting actual and potential harm to health and causing distress in every event, including bronc riding, bull riding, steer wrestling, calf roping, barrel racing, and more. Distinguished veterinarians and ethologists unaffiliated with the rodeo industry have confirmed Dr. Kona-Boun's conclusions. Further independent assessments and statistical analysis are being conducted, and a Quebec consultative committee is studying the data in order to make recommendations to the government. The rodeo industry is already trying to discredit the evidence and the expertise, but the documentation speaks for itself. Unless the government decides to rewrite its own legislation in order to save the rodeo industry, it looks as if the rodeo is now illegal in Quebec and must be banned. The Western Festival can continue as music and dancing, but it can no longer be allowed to place the physical and mental health of innocent non-human animals at risk for human sport and entertainment. Of course, the hope is that this move toward compassion and common decency will spread to rodeos everywhere, but we know that we still have a long fight ahead of us. The concerned public and anyone with doubts as to the dangers to the physical and mental health inherent in every rodeo activity is invited to read Dr. Kona-Boun's 610-page report and view the sample videos. We will provide links in this video's description. You may also request access to the full 135 hours of rodeo footage of the graphic evidence, which has been deposited with MAP-AQ for full public access. Our Canadian operation was a real eye-opener for me personally. When we were originally approached about this project, we saw some real potential to make progress against rodeo animal abuse, not just in Canada, but in the US and elsewhere. The timing for this effort is good, since rodeo cruelty is also being challenged in Australia and New Zealand. Nowhere are there more rodeos than in the United States. Still, except for shark, there's precious little action being taken by American animal protection groups and virtually none by the big organizations. When we were approached by the Canadians about this operation, we believed they were very serious. That's why we agreed to work with them, but we had no idea just how serious they were. While shark investigators put in a lot of time and effort, the Canadians have followed up with 6 months of meticulous video reviews and extensive and expertly detailed reports. In other words, the Canadians are schooling the Americans on dealing with rodeo animal abuse. I've expressed a great deal of dissatisfaction with the American animal protection movement. This is partly based on watching the far more genuine, intelligent, and productive efforts of groups in other countries, including China, Australia, New Zealand, and now Canada. The bottom line is, you get out what you put in. So long as the animal protection movement in the US is mainly talk, we will accomplish very little compared to what is possible. If you're a donor to an animal protection organization, find out what your group is doing about rodeos, because those animals are literally dying to entertain the bored drunks in the stands. Rodeos are occurring nationwide, so whether the group is local or national, it should be actively fighting this abuse. Rodeo is America's shame. I'm Steve Hindy for Showing Animals Respect and Kindness.